I couldn't think of a better person to talk to about three things. I mean, this is going to be three questions. Than you. You literally just keep me going every week, whether it's a short text or whatever. Like it matters to me a fuck ton, man, and I really appreciate it. By the way, this guy's name is RJ Zimmerman. So,
There's this philosophy of life that I've come to understand that I didn't understand for a very long time. And that is that the world is reflecting back what you put out. And
I would agree with that.
I want you to know that I am reflecting back you. That everything that you just said, you have allowed me to, you're very integral into the first moment that I was proud of myself. Like, no bullshit. Like, didn't just say that I was proud of myself, but actually felt pride in myself. And I couldn't wait to tell you.
That means everything to me. And while we're gonna talk about ADHD and some weaknesses, some strengths, we're gonna tie this all together. I I'm proud of myself for taking a break, but I also hate it. Like I can't stand stopping because I don't know if I can regain it the same way. But the problem is I saw myself going down a path that if I were to keep pushing this hard, this fast, I would turn into somebody I don't want to be. And that's
Can I ask you a question?
absolutely.
Do you feel that you would have to, with where we are in the conversation we just had,
Yeah.
do you feel you would have to restart by yourself?
No, no, not at all. Because it's the fire analogy works here. It's while for a couple months there might not be these flames and whatnot, the coals underneath are so hot that when I am ready to come back, all I have to do is grab another fucking log, throw it in, and watch it burn. And that's, but it takes that establishment of that kind of work to get to the point where under the surface, it's so on fire. You don't have to go through that whole process, which is the whole analogy. But I thank you for everything you've done for me. And I do want to ask you three questions. The first question is, and this is so uncharacteristic of me, but the first question is, with ADHD, can you pinpoint your biggest weakness?
It's it's my body and mind's ability to dissociate. And that's not something that I would have been able to name or even understand before a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And I heard terms, kind of understood about it, but understanding like the numbing that I get to quick at times, it's a strength. But when your body's automatic response is to get to numb and you're still able to function. So on the outside, people are like, there's something, RJ's not completely there right now, but there's something like he's still going.
Right.
It's not, things are not like bothering him to the point that he's sleeping until noon and only up for 3 hours and going back to bed. And
Right.
he's not just maintaining, he's more than surviving. Like
Yeah.
outside looking in, he's successful. But when we have conversations, he's not there.
Yeah.
And
And do you mean not there as in not there mentally or just not there at all? I mean, because
both.
the sleeping till noon thing,
Yep.
God, do I resonate with that because that's what the world sees, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what everyone. It's like, oh, if you sleep in past 9 or 10 a.m., you are a lazy fucking person.
or you
unless
have depression, right?
yeah,
Like, or you're going through
right,
something. Yeah.
unless that person that stayed up till 4 a.m. trying to help someone else slept till 10 a.m. No
Yeah.
one addresses those things. That's what we're trying to change.
And the disassociation, like I didn't know that's what it was, like completely. And what I mean by not being there is you and I would have this conversation, but I would be more monotone. Like I'm fairly monotone the way it is. Like I'm kind of excited talking to you. And people can hear that, like you can see it, but
Yeah.
I'm a pretty steady monotone person, which works perfectly for my sarcasm. But
We are going to get into that in a little bit.
so but bad things have happened in my life and I've not reacted because I was in this state of my emotions not there. And when you don't feel the lows, you don't feel the highs. Everything comes down to the middle. And you start to feel like you're living life from the outside. You can't find words. You don't even have an inner dialogue. You're just like, something isn't completely right. Like there's just something nagging. There's something out there. Somebody could ask me, they could be like, I swear that there's something eating at you because you're not 100% there. You're not 100% in this conversation with me. You played in a baseball game and you went 4 for 5 with 3 home runs, made the game ending diving catch that saved the
Right.
game, and you just walked off. There was no cheering. There was nothing. You just walked off.
Yeah. Okay.
That is a real situation that happened that I did.
Seriously? Like
And
an actual situation?
I walked off afterwards. I was just like, it is. Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Now, I will say that that level of focus for certain athletes, when it's, I did that, and you just walk off and you don't hear that, what makes like the greatest, it's not spiking the ball in the end zone. It's, yeah, I'm that good.
Which
And so it's confusing to me, like in a sports world, score a touchdown and hand the ball to the ref. Like I'm not that type of person. I'm not that strong. I want to spike the ball in the end zone. Like that's, but that takes a certain amount of, I think, mental maturity to.
it depends on where it comes from, right?
Okay,
So if you think you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're handing the ball off, but you're able to celebrate with your teammates at different points, if you're able to
good point.
decompress, but if that's what you're doing all through life,
Gotcha.
if that's how you're moving from day to day, like the autopilot, this is how I described it in my men's group last Sunday. The autopilot is like you wake up and you go through the list of things you have to do to get to bed the next day.
Gotcha.
What do I have to do to get to sleep?
Yeah.
And that's all you look forward to. And that's all it is. And sometimes it's, what do I have to do to get to the weekend?
Right.
Sometimes it's, it shows up in different ways, but things are happening around you that are great. You can't enjoy them. Things are happening around you that you need to grieve. You can't grieve them. And everything is what it is. And at a certain point, that is a great mantra to have. But when everything is what it is and you can't enjoy and you can't grieve and everything is just bottled up inside of you, it is the most, it's scary. You're detached. Like, who can you talk to about this? Like, what is it? How do you even have words to describe it? Right. And people are going to think you're insane because like you're watching your life from the outside. What does that even mean?
You got to bring real, watching it from the outside to real life. So what you just said actually kind of hit me hard. It's you and a lot of others that I've spoken with, but primarily you, have helped me grieve an unbelievable situation that I was not prepared to handle and turn that into something that helped other people grieve that they did, so it's the domino
Yeah.
effect. You did this for me. Whether you knew it or not, you did it. And that is remarkable, because while I want to just sit back and be like, okay, motivation, 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 this is the real shit. Sometimes people don't want to be motivated. Sometimes they just need someone to fucking talk to.
Yeah.
That's what I think we have done in this podcast or whatever the hell it is, Zooms or whatever. It matters. It matters to people. And I go back to this. I cannot thank you enough for like the person you are. I can't thank you enough for that. Like it's because Jesus, I would kill to like just be sitting out on the porch with you talking, not on this fucking Zoom call or whatever, and just have this same conversation, not recorded or whatever. But people need to see it. People need to see that real life matters. People need to see these things. To follow that up is, what is your biggest ADHD strength?
Which one?
Yes. Yes. Love that. Pinpoint one. Can you pinpoint one that might be the most influential for other people that are listening and whatnot?
I think it's my stubbornness that comes from hyper focus. And we talked about this in our last episode.
Absolutely.
I'm 9.5 years without drinking alcohol, and
congratulations again on that. That is
the first.
Amazing. Lobau Spark has started a fundraising effort for Crisis Text Line. The goal is $19 per episode, as $19 supports one person in their time of absolute crisis with their mental health. If you would like to donate through our fundraiser titled Lauren's Infinity, the link is listed in the episode's description. Lauren was my wife's best friend and loved by all who came into contact with her.
6.5 years was straight stubbornness. Then I started to look into why I drank the way I drank, and then it transformed into this really, really deep personal growth that is, I'm not the same person that I was. It's unreal. Even from the first moment that we met, like, I'm so different now than I was then. Things that I talk about, things that I say, if you'd have told me 3 years ago when I started this that I would be talking about, saying, and having an inner dialogue the way that I do, I would tell you you're a fucking idiot. There's no fucking way I would ever fucking do that. Like, no, that's not possible. Like, that's the fact that you even think that I would read a fucking book. Fuck off. I'm not doing homework, bitch. Like, right? Like, that's what I would have said to you.
Yeah.
And to have the ability to be in so much intense pain emotionally and mentally that, and like I said before, even like on autopilot and disassociating and so numb, you don't know what's going on. To have the stubbornness to keep taking that step forward.
Yep.
To have the stubbornness to say no, even though all you want to do is disappear and shut things off, to still say no to a beer, to a drink, to everybody around you telling you, how can I trust you if I can't have a beer with you? Like,
are you kidding me? Like, that's what people actually like. Wait, what?
I've been told that multiple times.
Oh, you've got to be. That has nothing to do with you as a person. That's just, that makes no sense to me.
So the only way it makes sense is understanding how we started this conversation off. you are you know, the world is reflecting back at you what you
Right.
put into the world. What that person is saying is, because I won't drink, they have to evaluate their own relationship with alcohol and how they drink. And that makes them feel like shit. So they're going to treat me like shit because they feel like shit that I don't drink. And they know that they need
But
to
but but that's
cut
horrible,
back.
because like if you and I were sitting on the dock right now, I'm gonna have a Jack and Coke. You can have a non-alcoholic drink, and nothing changes. Like I'm not
And we
gonna
can be best friends.
right, and like
Yep.
that's the way it should. See it.
And that's another ADHD superpower, is the compassion and empathy that we can give to others.
Right. Oh, 100%. Um, I'm actually going to ask you the last question now, and then follow this up and tie it all in. Is when was the time in your life you had to be resilient, and did you choose it, or did it just happen?
There's only one answer, and it's the one that I think you know. And
Right.
there's so many moments in my life where this has had to happen. But it's in September when um my ex-wife and I moved out, and it was like it sank in that this is it.
Oh,
And when all of those pent up emotions that I was talking about earlier, the dam broke and they all rushed out. And I feel like a frayed nerve that everything makes me feel everything. And I have to be the best father to my 3 and 5 year old that I can be, that I have to go to a job that I hate everything about. Um, and I chose to continue to grow and not just have too much going on. So I'm just going to coast. So I'm just going to, I'm, and I could have just stayed down a path that, and nobody would have questioned it.
right.
Been, of course, you're grieving, and of course, everything else. But instead, I chose to rise to higher heights than I ever thought I could, than I thought was possible. And I'm here now. Very quickly we're going to be up on a year, and I love my life more than I've ever loved my life.
Awesome.
I don't have regrets for the first time ever. I've always had regrets. Um, my shame is very minimal. I still feel it, but not like I did, where it was so intense that
That's
I
so
couldn't even
great.
look in the mirror.
That's so great that it's not as intense.
Yeah.
That's
I couldn't
that.
even look at myself in the mirror. I, and I have this community around me, like you, like the ADHD and benefits crew, like this community that I'm building in the area that I'm living in, the Virginia Beach area, that is just, they are there for my support, and they love to see me thrive in life, not because I'm
That's
thriving in life and not because they love to see the joy, but just because they want to support me.
right.
Period. That's it.
That's right. That's the whole thing. Is I went through a lot of older episodes before deciding to take this break, and every single person, when I asked them like, what are you not good at, or what are your strengths or whatever, every single person, there's not one that hasn't said, well, this was really painful, but this was awful, but the problem is that the world doesn't support the rest of the sentence.
Hey there, I'm getting ready to go for a boat ride here, but I wanted to give another heartwarming shout out to all the biggest supporters of this podcast. I know I've said this like a million fucking times, but I'm going to say it a million more. This does not exist without you. It truly doesn't. So thank you, Terry Shabilla. Thank you, Leo Guinan. Thank you, Kirk Hofstrom. Thank you, Casey Elliott. Thank you, Sarah Delano. Thank you, Justin Allingham. Thank you, Blushing Crafter. Thank you, Jamie Young. And thank you, Beth Jones. I love y'all so, so much. You're the only thing that keeps this podcast going. Thank you.
But I was good at this. But I thrived at this. But I am trying to get better. But. No one supports that. Finish the fucking sentence with support. I am tired because all the world sees is I sucked. I'm depressed. They never listen to the rest. Who the fuck is supporting the person in the second part of that sentence? No one. So of course you're going to be depressed, and of course you're going to go through all these things because everyone's looking at the first part of the sentence. They never realize the second, and they never encourage the second. That is what I want us to do, is encourage the, but I did this.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize the power in words. And with that power is the inner dialogue that you have with yourself. Like, how do you talk to yourself? Are you really hard on yourself? Why? Because the world is hard on you. So why not be to yourself how you are to your best friend, to your dog, to your cat, to your pet?
That's such a good point. That's such a good point.
So when you are doing this sentence, and this isn't something that I do, I have to be very aware to do it still. It's not something that I have completely put into my unconscious. And yes,
right.
It's not automatic yet.
Right.
Instead of saying but, we should say and.
I like that.
I went through
like that.
The most painful experience of my life. And I continued to choose to take steps forward and grow to reach heights that I never thought possible for myself.
Right.
If you're watching this on YouTube, I have a unicorn behind me. And the reason that I have that unicorn is the way that I'm talking right now would have been so woo-woo, would have been so, how can you say that? You're just a neo-philosophical piece of shit that thinks that everything needs to be positive and all of this. That is not the case. That's not how I feel, but that is how sometimes it can sound because you're not listening to the second half of the sentence.
Right.
You're not listening to both parts together.
Correct.
If you want to feel that way, feel that way.
Yeah.
Feel the grief. Feel the sadness, the anger, the shame. You have to feel it to get to the great emotions, to get to the good emotions, to get to the joy, the awe, the wonder, the silliness.
Yeah. You have to burn yourself a shit ton of times before your fire is just huge. You got to be able to take that pain. And every person that I've spoken with, every single one has been through immense amount of pain. Neurodivergence say, it is so hard for me to tell myself I'm good. It's so hard for me to accept this. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. But I'm doing this. It's it's fascinating to me. The brains that we have, because no one else does that. If we can say that we suck, then we can damn sure say, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. The problem is that we're good is not reinforced. And that is where this podcast comes into play.
Yeah. And I want you to hear me right now. It matters to me too.
Awesome.
That it matters to me that your pain, your fire, your passion, it's not just the joy that I see, the spark, the motivation.
The fun,
It's all of it. It matters to me.
Thank
because you matter to me.
And you matter to me too. That's the whole that is the whole concept of this is you matter. That's it. It's really not that difficult, but no one does it.
Yeah. A lot of the time I've noticed this, and I was cognizant of enough not to fall down it. Like, I recognized my self-loathing that was so deep I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without recoiling.
Right.
You don't go from I'm a piece of shit, like looking at your kids, how can you love such a piece of shit? Like, how dumb are you? That's how I caught it. That is a real thought that went through my mind. That's how I caught how I hated myself.
Yeah.
You don't go from that to feeling proud of yourself at a level that you start crying because you didn't know it was possible to feel proud of yourself.
Right. Oh, no, I agree with that.
You start with, you look in the mirror and you recognize that you just recoiled and you're thinking that. And instead you say, you know what? You shrug your shoulders and say, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you start. And from there, when you get to a point where you don't even have to interrupt that thought and you just are like, yeah, you're okay. Then you start to build on top of that, build on top of that, build on top of that.
Right. My only point is that if your brain can tell you that you suck,
yep,
your brain can also tell you
yep,
that you're amazing.
110% agreed.
And that's it. So it's not just the one-sided thing that everyone thinks that it is.
Yep.
It is possible to believe in yourself. It's going to take a fuck ton of work, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really fucking hard. But when you get to the point where you can say, you know what, like you just said, I'm okay. Okay for some people is fucking amazing.
Yep.
And that's what we're working so hard towards.
I agree. And I wasn't refuting you. Like, I was
just
no.
You don't have to explain yourself. I understand you, RJ. You don't have to, it's totally fine. You can say fuck off, low bow, I hate you, and I'll be like, I love you. But
I cannot wait to carry you on my shoulders. It's gonna be the best thing ever.
We're gonna have fun with it. Here's the deal. Like, I mean, I literally am, as much as I hate it, stepping away. And it's because I'm starting to not be as reliable to people as I always am. So I'm in the knowledge element. I mean, I am following my strategy to a T. I'm following it, which is knowledge.
Yep.
That's the K part of Spark, is stop, reflect, alone, get better, learn something. And then once I get that next thing, fast as shit, passion, attitude, reliability until it wears out again. That is my biggest strength, is that I know that. And it's been hard for me to take on, and my wife said it best, actually. She's like, I need a break from the heavy. But I won't just stop. Like, I want to close this out the right way.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in. Is I'm so honored to know you, man. Like, you've just been so supportive. Minus the fact that you are the funniest person on earth. You're also a really fucking good person. And that just thank you for everything you've done.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'm so proud of you. The fact that you recognize that and you're taking steps, even though it hurts.
Oh, it hurts. It
It's
sucks.
the right
It
thing.
sucks. It sucks because in every other aspect of my life, pushing through and just draining myself is what is respected.
Yeah.
They want that. And I provide it year after year after year after year. Just get up, just get up, just get up. Well, right now, for me, I'm going to relax. My goal is to not stop doing this podcast. And if I keep forcing through, I will turn into the biggest piece of shit you've ever seen. And I know that about myself. I know my arrogance level. I know my cockiness level. Like, I know those things. Then I'm going to chase after the numbers, which I said from day one I would never do. So that's why I'm shutting it down right now, because I don't want that to be me.
And you know what? You're going to come back with,
yeah, oh yeah.
it's going to be incredible. And I need you to hear me when I say this. There is no timetable that you have to hit. So don't force it. You'll know when.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to be in your life. And
thank you.
Everybody is still going to be in your life. We'll be here.
Oh, well, that's what we have established is this scenario where it's okay to do this.
Absolutely.
That is the key. It is okay to step away. It is okay to not be there every Friday. It is okay not to do these things. And then when you're ready, you show up and everyone loves you still.
That's community.
Yeah.
There's no strings attached.
Right.
And if you need to step away, that's okay to step away. And then when you want to come back, guess what? The arms are going to be open. There's not going to be questions, where were you? It may be a question of, are you okay? And that's it. Yeah. It's not going to ask you to explain yourself. It's not going to ask you to justify. Nope. And Lobo and I have never met in person, and we're making each other cry.
Yeah.
The moment that we meet in person.
Oh, it's going to be, it's
water falls. Like,
yeah, it's going to be.
It's going to be high tide, even if it's low tide, because that's how much is going to be. Listen,
it is, because it's just, I respect like everything that you are, and I respect everything that everyone is that has just supported me so much in this. I mean, like, this isn't me doing this at all. It's all of you, because all of you are the ones that keep it going. Like, it's not me at all. Like, I may have like lit a match, but y'all maintain the fire. That's the whole point. It's like, you can't do it yourself a lot of the times.
It turns out that we've never been able to.
Right.
We just haven't recognized
exactly
the people who've been there. And maybe they were not healthy support.
Right.
Maybe they don't deserve to be recognized fully.
Yeah.
But there were people there.
Yeah.
And when we recognize that, and then we search out community that's healthy and that treats us the way that we treat other people, and then that makes us look at ourselves and say, wow, maybe I do deserve to treat myself the way that Lobau treats me. Maybe I deserve to treat myself the way that Up treats me.
Right.
And you start the process.
Yeah.
That's all it is starting.
Yeah. Which is a match.
You know what our biggest strength is with ADHD?
Saving other people's lives.
It's because we see the infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
And often we choose to only focus on the hopeful ones, even though it's a 2% chance, even though it's a 1% chance. We know that we can make it happen. And then you know what we do? We fucking do it.
That is what Lobau Spark is.